434 held today, the 22nd of May, 2026 via Microsoft Teams. Members, we do have one item that is for the open session of our meeting, which is an item on municipal tariff application for the financial year 2026-27 relating to the city of Ekurhuleni, Mogale City, and Naledi local municipality. Let me, before we move on to the adoption of the agenda, take this opportunity as well to welcome the NESA management and staff, and as well as the members of the public that have joined us. Members, going back to the item for the open session, can I, by show of hand, get an indication that you do adopt the agenda for the session as I have read it out by show of hand? Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. Thank you, Mr. Majola, Ms. Maseti. I also support the adoption. Any verbal declaration of interest, members, that you may have for this particular meeting? If not, may I kindly request that we complete the forms that have been provided by the secretary for this particular committee and submit them back to her once we have completed them. And the same applies to the members of management and staff, that they complete the form that have been provided to them for this meeting. On that note, members, before we start with our item for the open session, let me request that we introduce ourselves to those that have joined us from different platforms. And I'll start with me. My name is Nomalanga Stole. I'm the chairperson of the REC and the CEO at NESA. I also sit on other structures of the energy regulator. I'll move on to the next member of the REC, Ms. Maseti, if you can introduce yourself and greet the attendees.
Thank you, Chairperson. Good afternoon to you, the members of the REC, members of staff, as well as the members of the public that are following today's deliberations just for observation. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. And then I'll move on to Mr. Majola. Over to you, sir.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning to the members. Also, good morning to the team at NESA, as well as a good afternoon to all of the members of the public. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Majola. We move on to Mr. Mkhize. Over to you, Mr. Mkhize.
Good afternoon, Chairperson, Madam Maseti, Mr. Majola, management and staff of NESA, as well as the members of the public. Thank you.
Thank you very much, members. And on that note, we'll move on to our item, which is the only item we have for the open session. And to start with it, I'm going to request the Executive Manager for the Electricity Regulation Division, Mr. Rulani Mathebula, to introduce the item. And Tate Mathebula, over to you, sir.
Chairperson, good afternoon, and good afternoon to the members of the Regulatory Committee, and also my colleagues at NESA, and as well as everyone else who is following us on the live stream. Chair, we are here today to consider three tariff applications from three municipalities, namely City of Ekurhuleni, Mogale City, as well as Naledi. These three municipalities, Chair, they have applied for their 26-27 tariff applications, and they were granted different timelines by the courts, which indicated that they could apply for their tariffs outside the timelines that were determined for the other municipalities. And indeed, Chair, these municipalities have acceded to those timelines. They submitted their tariff applications in time as indicated by the court timelines. And Chair, I must indicate that then the court timelines have indicated that by today, the regulator should determine what the tariff outcome will be for these three municipalities. This is in addition of the other 173 tariffs that the regulator has received for this financial year as well. So, Chair, I must indicate that the regulatory process in terms of publication was followed for these municipalities as indicated on the court timelines. And Chair, the stakeholders responded. And as the presenters present each of the applications, they will be indicating to the members what were the comments that were received from stakeholders and how those comments were actually handled. I must indicate, Chair, that this process of the tariff determination and tariff application, it's based on an approved tariff cost of supply framework that has been approved. And Chair, the process allows for the applicants to actually follow two distinct methodologies. And this, Chair, is the cost plus methodology as well as the rate of return methodology. So these are processes that are available for the applicants to can follow in processing their application to the regulator. And the same, Chair, it's followed by the regulator in terms of determining what the tariff outcome will be. And Chair, I must emphasize that the cost plus methodology determines the allowable revenue requirement by aggregating all prudently and efficiently incurred costs associated with the licensed electricity distribution activity, together with an allowable surplus. The methodology includes, among others, the cost of electricity purchased from Eskom, independent power producers, and own generation sources. The operating expenditure, shared and support services cost, depreciation and amortization of refurbishment and capital expenditure, repairs and maintenance costs, and allowable energy losses. And these costs, Chair, are assessed against the principles of prudency, efficiency, and cost reflectivity as prescribed in the Electricity Regulation Act and the NESA COS framework. Chair, the second methodology is the rate of return methodology, which determines the revenue requirement based on an efficient operating expenditure of the licensee, together with a reasonable return on the regulatory asset base. The methodology takes into account operating expenditure, depreciation, working capital requirement, and the value of the regulated asset base, with the allowable return calculated using the weighted average cost of capital. This methodology is intended to ensure that licensees are able to recover efficiently incurred costs while earning a reasonable risk-adjusted return on assets utilized in providing regulatory or regulated electricity services. So, Chair, when the presenters are going through this, they will be indicating which methodology each applicant has opted for, and also talk to those specific elements in that. So, Chair, in assessing the electricity purchase cost submitted by the licensee, NESA verifies the prudency and accuracy of the claimed cost through the evaluation of Eskom bulk supply invoices, power purchase agreements where applicable, and other supporting procurement documents. The operating expenditure and shared costs are verified through the assessments of deforms, trial balances, audited financial statements, and other regulatory financial information submitted by the licensee. And this verification process is undertaken to ensure that only efficient and electricity-related costs are included in the tariff determination. Chair, I must indicate that the specific number of comments received from stakeholders will be disclosed as the presenters talk to each of the specific tariff applications. Chair, I would like to leave it here and allow that we continue and take the first applicant, Chair, which is Ekurhuleni. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Matebula, for outlining that process. We will indeed, members, proceed with the first application, which is from the city of Ekurhuleni, and it will be presented to us by Ms. Masike. Over to you, ma'am. And yeah, over to you, Ms. Masike.
Thank you, Chairperson. Good afternoon to you, the Energy Regulator members, colleagues, and members of the public. I just want to point out that I have shared supplementary information as annexure, which was posted on the board pack this morning. But yeah, let me start with the Ekurhuleni application. Ekurhuleni is situated in the Gauteng province. The customer profile has indicated that the city relies heavily on the energy sales from the industrial customers, which amounts to about 63%. So the details of the customer statistics are provided on table 2, which is on page 19 of 141. In terms of the methodology used, the city used the cost plus methodology, but they did yesterday provide the asset register, which also forms part of the supplementary annexure that was submitted to RSU this morning. In terms of the asset register, it shows that the replacement cost for the assets that the city has is about 49 billion, and the annual depreciation is about 3.89%. In terms of consultation, we have both the city and NERSA have consulted, and from the NERSA side, we have only received one comment, which was from Norton Incorporated, which represents impact, and the analysis of the comments from impact are on page 41 of 141. In terms of the Eskom debt, City of Ekurhuleni has entered into a payment arrangement with Eskom, with the duration of which is about 18 months. And the first installment was due in April, and it has been honored. When we come to the financial and technical indicators for the city, we have noticed that the energy losses have increased from 13.86% to 15.54%, which are exceeding the normal, the general norm. We have done a sensitivity analysis where we are looking at the losses at 12% as indicated in the framework, and also in the the losses at 6% as required. And we have the analysis therefore demonstrates that the excessive energy losses materially contribute to the municipality's financial challenges, and it places additional pressure on the tariff increases. In terms of the revenue requirement, which is on page 27 of 141, the municipality's total revenue requirement is about 24 billion, which constitutes 78% of the wires and 22% of the sorry, Chairperson. Excuse. The retail function constitutes 78%, and the wires constitute 22%. When we go to the analysis of the OPEX costs, which is on page, sorry. I just want to direct the members at the right page of the analysis sheet. Apologies for that. The analysis of the OPEX cost is on page 30 of 141, which then shows that the city of Ekurhuleni continues to experience significant cost pressures, with total expenditure increasing from 5.17 billion in 2024-25 and which is approximately 5.23 billion applied for in the 26-27%. NERSA, we have adjusted the OPEX costs, and we've taken into account the ESCOM debt, the NMD, and the FNB, not FNB, FBE that is paid to ESCOM. And the bad debts, which amount to approximately 6.96 billion, have been disallowed. And in addition, the charges from other municipal departments, approximately 1.21 billion, remain significant. It is a significant cost for the operating expenditure. And the overall analysis shows that the operating expenditure for the city of Ekurhuleni is weak, and the revenue management practices that the city does are not acceptable and can be avoided. In terms of the surplus, we are saying that COE applied for the amount of 720 million. Of the surplus, but after we adjusted everything, the resulting surplus has reduced to about 700 million. And then in terms of the analysis of the cost of supply that has been submitted, when we move over to page in terms of the cost of supply that has been submitted, the rate design step indicates that the customers that are in the tariff B, which is the residential customers as well as resellers, are carrying costs that are not supposed to be carried, and they are actually subsidizing the industrial and other domestic customers. So we are recommending that the municipality comes up with a subsidy framework where relevant costs will be allocated to applicable customers. And then when we move on to the actual tariffs themselves, we have noted that the city has requested that for tariff C, the tariffs be changed from peak, standard, and off-peak to just high demand energy charges and low demand energy charges, because the customers in that category cannot afford or do not have smart meters to be able to allocate costs properly. So they are doing away with the seasonal peak, standard, and off-peak tariffs. They just want to have energy charges based on high and low demand. But then yesterday we had an encounter. We requested one of the, in terms of the tariffs, we remember that in 2025-26 we did NERSA approved the tariffs for Ekurhuleni on the 20th of June 2025, but then when we communicated the decision, the city informed NERSA that their council set on the 5th of May, but this was never communicated before. Their council set on the 5th of May, and they decided to approve certain tariffs, but the city has then decided to ignore what NERSA approved and implement what the council has approved. When we look at that, we actually asked the city yesterday to provide the tariff that they are currently implementing, which are illegal. And we then contacted as well one customer just to demonstrate the impact of the illegal tariffs. And it has shown that with the tariffs that the city has currently implemented, there is between 48 and 60% increase that the customers are experiencing, which is not in line with what NERSA has approved. The details of that customer account has been sent on the annexure. If you open the annexure, there is a table there that demonstrates the impact of the tariffs that are implemented by Ekurhuleni, which were not approved by NERSA, versus what could have been the impact if Ekurhuleni was implementing what NERSA approved. And we have considered all those input from the customers, and we are then recommending that NERSA considers or REC approves the tariffs that are in the annexure that deals with the illegal tariffs and all that. And if I go to the recommendations, Chairperson, sorry, my computer is stuck. If I go to the recommendations, recommendation number 1, sorry, say my Chairperson, my computer is freezing. Can I ask Zwanga to read the recommendations for me? Zwanga, please. My computer is frozen.
Let's start from page 13 to 14. Zwanga, if you can assist.
Okay.
Mr. Matebula, please go through. Please go through, Mr. Matebula.
Okay, Chair, on page 14, what we had indicated or put through to the members is that the tariffs that are based on COS study are approved, and the presenter had indicated that there is a supplementary document that we have attached that talks to that, approved as recommended for implementation as from 1st of July 2026, and the cost of supply study submitted by the municipality be noted. And the municipality is required to submit a report accounting for all the costs that have been noted in the COS study to enable the regulator to perform its independent verification audit process by 31st January 2027. And Chair, the municipality is required to submit quarterly smart energy loss reduction progress report for the regulator to monitor implementation thereof by 30 September 2026. Chair, I'm aware that this recommendation number 4 was the members had indicated that it needs to be revised to read differently than we have put it here. We will ensure that it is corrected as such. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Matebula. Just to read into the record the amendment that was made by the members on recommendation 4. It says that quarterly reports on smart efficiency improvement measures on identified losses be submitted by the licensee starting in September 2026. That's the enhancements of that recommendation. Members, on that note, may I then invite you to give in your input in relation to this particular application. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Maseti. You may come in.
Thank you, Chairperson, and thank you to Ms. Masike for the introduction of this application. Chairperson, firstly, I would like us to start off with the cost of supply study, just to understand the version of the cost of supply study that we are using. Just to understand when did we receive the cost of supply study that has been used. to consider and evaluate the tariffs. I think that for me is important, so that the previous issues picked up on the cost of supply study, we make sure that those have been thoroughly addressed, and that at least we've got a compliant cost of supply study. That is the first thing, Chair, because we can't just note it and then we say that the tariff is based on that. Somebody's mic is on. That's the first thing, Chair. Then the second thing that I would like to clarify, which I am concerned about, is the substantive information or input that was only uploaded, or in fact was received late from the municipality. I don't know whether it was received yesterday or when, but what I know is that it has been uploaded only today, and that information has to do with the assets. So I don't know whether it is the asset register together with the asset value, the asset values that are critical for the assessment, because the asset values are supposed to be part of the revenue required. And then on the basis of that, we do depreciation and therefore calculate the returns. So I would like to then find out to what extent, if that was only uploaded this morning or whatever time, because I don't know exactly what time it was uploaded, to what extent was that considered in terms of the submission that was already before us. That for me, it worries me, because it suggests that that information was not thoroughly assessed, so that we can look at whether the revenue that is before us is not overstated, as we have not verified the capex aspect and the depreciated cost that we need to take into account, depreciated replacement cost of the assets that we need to take into consideration, so that we know that the depreciation that was done, or the figure that we took, and the amount that we're now going to consider, the value that we're now going to consider, which takes care of depreciation, we will then be able to calculate an appropriate return on that, even if we look at a profit margin or the return. But at the end of the day, that profit margin should not even be far from the returns, because it will take into account the risk, same as how the return would have been calculated using the WACC, which must also take the risk of the business. So I don't know to what extent would one be able to calculate that without that information, which was only submitted today. And what is key also with that information is that we need to see what component of it in the required revenue, what component of it is it 24%, is how much, so that we can be able also to consider the taking out the appropriate depreciation. So that is the first thing, Chair. And then I'm looking at the calculations in respect of how much revenue did we deduct from from the revenue that is requested by the municipality. I see here, I don't know if this is correct, paragraph 3.7, Chair. After that table that deals with table 5, that deals with the revenue forgone. You will see there that there is an amount that has been put there of 24 billion rands, and resulting in a surplus of about 288 million. Can we check whether that amount indeed is 24 billion rand? Because we also have, if you look at it, if you look at it, we've got that paragraph on its own. It's got confusing figures, at least for me. I know that there are sales there that we have put in, and then there's an additional amount of 942.7 million. So let's just check that amount that we are talking about there, the billions there that we are referring to, correct amounts. In fact, both paragraphs on 3.7 and 3.8. Chairperson, I would like also just that part of the surplus to again just relate it to the return or risk related or risk-based profit margin, please. That surplus. Can we just get information that that surplus that is indicated, the value of the surplus that is indicated, is one that can be justified with risk-based profit margin or the return, so that we are in compliant with section 15, read with position 1, please. We've said this previously. Then going straight to the table itself, Chair. In fact, as I'm going to the table, I want to touch on the cross-subsidization. That element is not split because it is critical for for all of these applications, especially also for this one, knowing very well that there is an issue of cross-subsidization that NERSA needs to deal with. If that, as we indicated, that the colleagues must also use what is contained in that NISNA application, where it is properly split, that you will have the tariff versus the revenue, and then you split it properly. You look at the category of the customers. You can even look at in rand terms, and then also the tariff itself and all of that. That shows properly the impact of the cross-subsidization if you take the average tariff of 9.01%. Once you split it in the way that we're supposed to do it, how do you then justify the what you call the cross-subsidization, so that you can see the impact there? I'm not able to see that table, and I believe it is quite critical also in this assessment. Then lastly, Chair, I think some figures must be some figures here, Chair, they need to be checked on paragraph 4.4.1.2 under the revenue requirement. You will see the way that they are written, even in billions, like you will have 19.452 billion. So please, let's have that amount properly written. It cannot be that, and the same as 5.302 billion. There's a problem there. Those billions there must be corrected, please, on that paragraph. Otherwise, it makes it difficult for one to do any reconciliation. This table 6 ought to have been standardized by now, because we agreed on the table. Even the FTRM has agreed on that table that it's quite detailed. This is the table. It should be like this and all of that. It was stated in the previous meetings 2 weeks ago. So we should not have this table that we have now in table 6. Honestly, by now we should have a different table, particularly for this, because we are unable to see some of the costs here and deal with them. So firstly, I would like to say that issue of surplus, we've got to reflect it as a whatever the return or the, because I don't know how you probably just took you went to the model and plugged in the figures, but you know very well what the challenge is with this. So as I indicated, it must be risk-based, please. I'm not going to repeat this, and I can't support it because it will take us back to the issues that we are already grappling with that are not finalized. So I just want to leave it at that. And this is something that should have been taken into account. And I'm also unable to state clearly what is the depreciated amount here and how we arrived at it. All I'm saying is that that depreciation, that amount combined with the OPEX it makes up 21% of the total revenue that is required, the 24.7 billion that is required. So we need to check that properly. That is the second element on this table that we need to deal with, Chair. And then the other element that we need to deal with, which is not really showing here, there is no amount from the revenue required, an amount that shows that there is downward adjustment coming out of that table where we deal with the energy losses. There must be an amount that takes away the inefficiencies, which will reflect that they were kept at 12%, not that amount that is there. So we need that again to be taken out of this. And it is actually not showing. Unfortunately, the other things here, we are unable to look at other costs because this table is not detailed enough to assist us to be able to see this. And even when we talk about how much has been disallowed, there is no minus there that is showing that we disallowed X amount, and therefore having disallowed X amount, what is now the amount is it's something else. It's something else. The table is not proper here, because initially it showed the 24.7 billion. And then down there, it shows 25.4 billion. And in the body of the discussion, we've been talking about the 24.7, but we must also show the minus where they are minus. I would like to leave it at that, Chairperson. But yeah, there's work that needs to be done, in my view. I'm not comfortable, and I would like the table to be quite detailed, and there are substantive issues that we need to really verify here. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Ms. Maseti, for that input. Mr. Mkiza, you may come in, sir.
Thank you, Chairperson. I'll try not to repeat in some of the things that maybe Madam Maseti will have touched on, but I would just zoom into the tables that were not really zoomed into detail. Table 4, which is the performance indicators table. I note that the surplus is actually slightly improving, but still being on a negative side, being a deficit. And then whereas the energy losses are slightly worsening. If you look at the 12%, then you've got a 3.54 additional, which then needs to be clearly indicated as being discounted from the revenue requirement. I think that needs to be out clearly, as well as the issue of the other factors at play. Because if you look at these losses, they are not very far from the 12%. But there's still a lot of room for improvement to get to single digits, as also shown in Table 5. Maybe it's just me who could not find it. The collection rate, I think it's also important to reflect on the collection rate, because that is also an area that would normally require improvement with the municipality. I then also appreciate the work done in attempting to indicate the adjustments under Table 7, which is the operational expenditure breakdown, which then will reflect that 12%, the 21% overall. And I think here, if you can also indicate those percentages, so it is also clear what depreciation particularly, what percentage thereof is, because you have got that 549 million there, which for me, it's just important just to demonstrate how you have dealt with it in terms of restricting it to the electricity assets, as already alluded to broadly by Mr. Matebula. I appreciate that you've removed the NMD exceedance penalties, but I also think that on the Eskom debt's interest, we did talk of the 5% as the maximum that can be accommodated. Just want to check, because I see that what is applied for and what has been adjusted is exactly the same. Just on that one. And I think also with the link between the assets and the repairs and maintenance, I think when it comes to contracted services, in future, like we had already agreed that we try to separate that, because you've got those salary elements, you've got contracted services, you've got salaries and allowances. And then you said these salaries are exclusive of repairs and maintenance. So the question, you said, just try to outline what is contained in the first line and in the second line. Again, not really wanting to, at this level, be talking to these figures in the manner that we're doing, but we're forced to go that route. And then lastly, on the charges from other municipal departments, that figure of 1.209 billion, it appears high. Yes, it's been increasing fairly steadily, not a high increase, but still the quantum itself is concerning, as it ends up being borne by the residents in that metro. So if you may, please just also scrutinize that aspect to lower the cost. The same thing we've raised with issues of street lighting, where we find that in most of the time in these municipalities, even those street lights, they are dark, they're switched off at night. Some of them, unfortunately, they are on during daytime, and that charge goes to the public in some way, no matter how small it is. I think it's something that needs to be attended to. Yeah, I would stop there without really repeating what has already been said. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mkiza. I think I am covered, and my point of emphasis was really for the presenter or the team to, the presenter together with the team to really indicate on the issue of stakeholder publication, because we were informed that some of the stakeholders were not consulted, and if that can be, or rather there was no response in terms of the comments that were sent to the licensee. If you can comment on that. I think this came from one of the public hearing sittings. Ms. Masike, if you can come in and respond to all the points that the members have raised. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Chairperson. In terms of, let me start with the one about the stakeholder comments that you are referring to, was relating to the application for 24-25. For this one, we have received one comment, and we have received input from the city, and we have analyzed it, and it is in the RFD. Going back to Ms. Maseti's questions, the asset values and depreciation have been submitted to RSC in the form of the annexure. If you were to look at the annexure that was submitted today, there is the asset values for the city of Ekurhuleni for all those assets that are related to the production and supply of electricity, as well as the calculation of depreciation, which amounts to about 3.8 something, 3.89. And yes, the information was submitted late. We could not, it was submitted day before yesterday or yesterday. Yes, we could not really consider it when we were doing the analysis of the application. In terms of the revenues, I would like to request Mr. Ralufe to talk to that. The questions from Ms. Masetti, Mr. Ralufe, regarding the revenue requirement, if for paragraph 3.7 and 3.8, if we're using the correct amounts, please.
Thank you, thank you, Ms. Masige. Ms. Masidi or rather the committee of the REC, rather to start with the version of the COS utilized. It's a recently updated one, which is currently utilized by all Munichs. It's not the previous one, as in the simplified one. And then the issue about the figures, yeah, it's somehow some mathematical, should I say arithmetic, like any digits after the decimal comma, but the amounts are in billions and also in millions. I've just lost a view of my document here to my PC, but I don't know if Masike I've actually addressed what you wanted me to. Thanks.
Yeah, maybe also to add on that, in terms of the version of the COS that we used, you would remember that when we advertised in February, March, there was an issue with the bulk purchases amount, which were not tallying up. We did go back to the city to ask them to correct, and they have since corrected, which then resulted from the amount that was required before the adjustment for the tariffs to be cost reflective was 53%, but after the adjustments were made, the cost reflective tariff increase that is required is now sitting at 19%. So we are using the revised COS, which was corrected by the city after we indicated to them where the errors were. And then in terms of as answered the 3.7 versus 3.8, the depreciated amount that Ms. Masetti is referring to is in the annexure. It's not covered in the RFD. So when we do consolidate the RFD for publication, we'll take the issues that are raised in the annexure and put them in the RFD for publication. And then in terms of the revenue requirement, kept at the 12% of the losses adjustment, we have considered that. Zwanga, do you want to talk to the losses sitting between 12 and 6%? And then for the issue relating to collection rate, I'm still waiting for the city to confirm what their actual collection rate is. I'm going through what I wrote here. Mr. Ralufe?
Yeah, indeed, as per the information provided, yes, the losses are seated there, but I remember in the last engagement we had the losses were somewhere between 12 and 16%. And we made the request that the city of Ekurhuleni should provide us with the details of what is causing those losses. and what are the plans underway to deal with them so that they can be more efficient. That's what I can say regarding the losses. Thanks.
Ms. Masike.
Sorry, I was talking to a muted mic. Yeah, apologies for that. The city has provided us with the losses reduction plan. We will be, maybe the recommendation will have to change as we will be then monitoring it in line with the requirements of the regulator. And on table 7, the depreciation percentage is also indicated in the annexure that was submitted earlier today. The ESCOM debt is considered less than 5% of the total revenue that is required, so we did not really adjust it. Charges from other municipalities, municipal charges are high. The city is currently undergoing the ring fencing. They are ring fencing. They are establishing a business unit where all the electricity related charges will be managed from one unit. So in future, we will not be sitting with this line item that says charges from other municipal costs. So going forward for 27-28, we will have a ring-fenced electricity business from the city, as indicated with in the discussions that have been we've had with the city on Monday or Tuesday. Yeah. And then in terms of the stakeholder comments, we only received one comment from Impact, and we sent it out to the city to respond, and they have responded. When we did the analysis of the stakeholder comment, we considered the input from the city as well as what we as NERSA think should be done. Thank you, Chairperson. I'm not sure if I've covered everything. Please alert me if there are other issues that I didn't cover.
There were issues in terms of the billions that needs to be corrected. Are they correct or not? I think there was an indication that some of the figures are recorded as billions and they may seem to be incorrect. If you can just confirm if they're correct.
City of Ekurhuleni is a metro and the revenue requirement deals in billions. So the numbers as reflected in the RFD are billions, not millions. Thank you, Chairperson.
Okay, members, any follow-ups on the responses that have been given? I don't seem to see any hand. I would like to move on. I see.
I'm covered from my side, noting that these are some of the things for the enhancement, Chairperson. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Maseti.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, from my side, I am uncomfortable, and I'm trying not to delve into some other issues, but I think it is important for our comfort and the decision, the quality of the decision, that I must mention these things if perhaps they are not very clear. The issue of surplus is not a light issue. We've had also even early this week on the issue of the surplus. And it is exactly what I've said before. And up to now, it is still not justified on the basis of risk that are associated with this municipality. We've heard that the court has already rejected it, guys. So I don't know how else I can ever emphasize this. And I've tried to touch it on my comments. So on that, alone, I believe it is a crucial issue that we must apply ourselves properly. And I am saying that we are guided by Section 15, the policy position 1. It is very clear. So even if the COS framework talks about surplus, and I'm saying that must be read in harmony with what the legislation requires of us. Two things and two things only: profit margin, and you also get it on step 1 of the COS. And that profit margin must be risk-based. And if not profit margin, it must be the return. And that must be based on the asset value. So I'm saying if it's a return, the asset value, we don't have it. So how do we get to that? Because that asset value, Ms. Masike says that they could not thoroughly consider that information that relates to the assets. So that on its own, for me, is an issue that was raised in respect of City of Ekurhuleni already by those that challenged the city. So how do we repeat the same thing here and not learn from that and still do the same thing? I don't want to delve into other issues. And the other issues that I spoke about is that this table ought to have been much more detailed, like the standard table that we all said. At least if everyone can do it like this, it is much better. Now, 2 weeks down the line, we're still not doing that. The reason I'm saying it is not because I'm just being petty on it. I know that there are specific costs that were questioned. There's a 1 billion that ought to have been removed here, which had no explanation if one delves and that information is populated as item by item. The other issue that we need to thoroughly look at is the one that relates to salaries and wages. We know that also is an issue. So I don't know how else or what are the other ones, and the issue of depreciation, how it has been calculated, specifically because the asset values were only submitted this morning. So how did we change and come up with a submission that is proper? So for me, Chairperson, on the basis of those, I don't believe that thorough work has been done here, and that I'm comfortable, even irrespective of the amount, and that we need to also, there's an issue of transparency in cross-subsidization. And therefore, the table that shows thoroughly, which is also part of our own framework, it must show in rands and cents how much each customer category is going to pay in terms of the tariff versus the revenue when it is assigned to the customers and so forth. So I'm not seeing that, Chair. So on the basis of that, Chair, I'm uncomfortable. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Masike. Mr. Mkhize.
Chairperson, I would like to check with Madam Masike in terms of the asset value from which this depreciation is based, just to maybe give another bite to try to give us the comfort around it. Failing which, then we'll have no choice but to defer a decision on this one, send it back, refer it back for improvement in terms of incorporating of those aspects, especially the issue around the asset base. The rest of the issues, I do understand that there are matters that are for improvement, and we have said that even with others that we are going to, they need to just to enhance these submissions to talk to those matters. If not, I would then suggest, in the interest of time, that we then would have to refer it back, have it enhanced, and then we can do it even via round robin if need be. But noting that this is REC, we can have maybe an urgent meeting just to deal with it once ready.
Thank you for that guidance, Mr. Mkhize. Ms. Maseke, if you can just respond on the point that Mr. Mkhize is making on the issue of the asset value. as to how you had determined the depreciation. Not that I'm saying disregard what Ms. Masiti has said. You can come in on those points, but I thought that she was of the view that those points are not adequately covered in the submission. And I thought we could agree that those are to be covered in the enhancements of the RFT. But coming on any of the points raised by members.
Thank you, Chairperson. In the addendum that I sent this morning, I have indicated that year-on-year calculated depreciation is 3.89%, and the total value of the asset was estimated to be around 50 billion. I'm not sure if the members got the annexure, but it is indicated in the annexure the total value of the asset versus the depreciation applied, which is 3.89% of the 50 billion that was provided by the city. The rest of the issues, Chairperson, we can deal with them when we enhance the RFD for publication.
Okay. But you're not coming out clear. You had said in your presentation you got the asset register a day before or yesterday.
Yes.
And the question was, did you consider this asset value in your analysis? And I think you had said, no, it was not considered. And the member, I think Mr. Mkhize, is saying, what value did you use in coming up with the depreciation values, so that if you did not consider the asset register, you may have used the incorrect asset values, and maybe we need to give you time to stand the matter down, to go and look at what you had initially over and above the register that you got a day or ago, and evaluate that and come to the members and give them comfort that you have since looked at it, now that you're saying you haven't looked at it. So that was the question that was being asked.
Thank you, Chairperson, for that guidance. The asset values that we considered were provided for in the D forms. What the city has provided, which is in the annexure, is just a breakdown of the information that has been provided in the D forms. So we did.
Okay.
Yes.
Can you give members the comfort that what was in the D form and what was given a day ago, yesterday, that was uploaded yesterday, is aligned to what was
tallies. It tallies. Yes, it tallies.
So you are basically correcting yourself that the point you made to say that you did not take it into account may be incorrect?
No, sorry, Chairperson. I was just saying that breakdown as per HV, LV, MV, and is the issue that we did not take into account, but the overall amount tallies.
Okay. Mr. Mkhize, are you covered on that point on the asset value and how they then consider the depreciation?
I am covered, and I would still stress the issue that I raised earlier on, that a lot then goes into the issue of further verification and auditing and doing a lot of work in the intervening period between tariff applications. Even the cost of supply studies themselves, in terms of really now going through with a fine comb to deal with them.
Okay. That is noted. Members, I just want to check if we are able then to get to a decision considering the points of enhancements that needs to be done on this particular application, and the recommendations have been read into the record with the enhancements of paragraph of recommendation 4 rather, that I've tried to read into the record. And can I just get an indication with the points raised if we are covered and go to the recommendations? Ms. Maseti, are you covered? I think Mr. Mkhize said he is. I do know that we still have issues. Yes.
Chairperson, from my side, I'm not covered. I will dissent, and it's for specific and legal reasons on the issue of surplus. We already know the standpoint of the court on this aspect, and I try to guide to find out what are the risks that will support that aspect, so that surplus is linked to what the law requires of us, either profit margin or return. And hence, there's no issue of surplus. The court has already guided on this, and I can't approve a revenue of this nature that is not risk-based. If we take that approach, that's the first basis of my dissent. That one is already for me something the court that is very clear is unlawful. The second one is that is the fact that I don't see an amount of depreciation that is associated with the asset values that are for the business. For me, that is quite critical, because then we can't just add it onto the revenue that is required. And also that did not even give us time to properly consider. And then the other issues about corrections of these others is not so much of an issue. And then the third ground for my dissent is taking out the issue of the inefficient cost that are not only related to energy losses, so that we display that and show that we have taken it out of the required revenue so that it comes down, but also the issue of the shared cost that has always been a pain point. And now the table does not show those things so that it's in aligned. So it's 4 grounds from my side for dissenting, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mkize. Maybe if I would want to wrap up on this one, Mr. Mkize, you may come in then.
Thank you. I just wanted to stress that I can't recall in terms of the response from Madam Masige that a figure that is above 12% in terms of has already been removed. That was, if I understood you correctly, Madam Masige. And that is why I was saying that those can be enhanced then in terms of clearly demonstrating what has happened. The only issue that for me stands as a problem would be the issue of the surplus, which is the return. But I'm looking at it sitting at a figure of illustrated there in the table as a 2.6%, which just try to quickly go 2.91%. That's what I'm seeing in terms of the surplus. If you can just maybe clarify it further, because whenever something is unlawful or deemed unlawful, it means we need really to zoom into it, because we can't have a situation where we act in a manner that is unlawful. That will be all from my side, and I think with that attended, then I would not necessarily have a problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mkize. Ms. Masike, on the points raised by the members, come in, please.
Thank you, Chairperson. In terms of shared OPEX, which is demonstrated on table 7 of the RFD, we have removed the FBE, which the municipality pays to ESCOM. The rest of the bad debt written off and charges from other municipalities, we have asked the city to clarify, but it is when we compare the amounts requested, it is very negligible. And in terms of the surplus of 2. Okay, under 3% surplus, the risks, they are high energy losses, and we did have discussions with the city of Ekurhuleni to manage to ask them to really manage the energy losses, especially non-technical ones, in order to increase their surplus. Their surplus is sitting at very low. Currently, we are dealing with 26, 27, but in terms of the 24, 25 deforms that the information that has been verified, they are sitting at a deficit. So in order for them to improve on that deficit, we have requested them to manage the losses. That is the biggest risk for them to perform better.
Okay, I think maybe we need to wrap on this matter, and I think I request that we stand it down so that Ms. Masike, you specifically go and sit and address in a addendum or 2-pager, address all the issues that the members have raised as issues of concern to them, clearly itemize them, give a response on how you have dealt with it when you were considering or analyzing this particular application. And once that is done, you can send it via round robin, or when the next sitting of the REC takes place, you can indicate with the secretary that we have a sitting of the REC to consider this application if it cannot be done via round robin. Members, that is just my proposal because, I think there are other points when we are given a response is that there's still discussion with the city, and I think we can't make a decision on some pending discussions. Let's have firm responses on all the issues that you have raised. Members, by show of hand, please just give me an indication that you agree that we stand the matter down. We have a 2-pager that focuses on all the issues that have been raised in this meeting. Thank you, Mr. Majola, Ms. Maseti, and Mr. Mkhize. Ms. Masike, please do sit with the secretary to just get an itemized list of the points raised, and I'm also willing to assist with the list. Members, on that, then we stand this matter down. It will come back to us via round robin or the next special sitting of the REC based on the guidance that would have been provided. May I request that we move on to the next one? Yes, Mr. Majola.
Chair, I don't mind if we stand the matter down, but we must just double check in terms of the court orders. How much time do we have to finalize this matter? If I'm not mistaken, Mr. Matebula in his introduction said we've got to finalize all these matters today. Can we just double check with Mr. Matebula or somebody from the legal department? Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Matebula? Mr. Matebula, you may come in, and maybe Mr. Majola, we also need to be clear as to what finalization means. Does finalization mean approval? And whether it excludes non-approval, because finalization can be non-approval as well, with reasons though for coming from the committee. Ms. Masike, you may come in.
Thank you, Chairperson. I just wanted to indicate that the court order indicated that the decision on this tariff application must be made by 23 May. Thank you.
The 3rd of May, which is tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What we can then do, let's just check. Let me take the members. Ms. Maseti.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, I agree that as I voted, I agree that the matter needs to be revised, even the reasons for decision, so that we are given. They must be fair to the members. Because when we ask questions, we don't just ask questions. We are here to serve the regulator and make sure that the quality of the decision and the thoroughness and robustness of the discussions have actually took place, and there's compliance with the Act in terms of the decisions that we take. So it's also not proper that we get to consider these matters in the afternoon of a Friday, and therefore we are rushed in terms of decisions that we need to take, because we should have been given this submission in time, and then we can see rather than to be given the submission on the very last minute, last hour, basically. And now we are stuck. We just have to take decisions, and these things will have comebacks. We already know that. And then the second thing is that, Chairperson, we can't just approve things simply because the court. And you are quite right to say that we might as well not approve if we believe that the information that is at our disposal does not justify what has been requested. For that matter, if the team at least assist us with the information, including this shared cost, so that we can then at least apply our minds, we might as well then say, oh, well, we set the tariff even lower than what the municipality has requested. Then we have a decision in that way, because we'll have taken out certain things we are not comfortable with and simply not allow them into the revenue. Only if the team assists us, Chairperson, and put those things properly, do the calculations, have a detailed table that we can then be able to say, and also in the board of the discussion, and properly justify. Then we are able to say, this is what you said. You have also shown it on the table, and we're comfortable that one and that one and that one we disallow. Here are our reasons. Whether at the end of the day, we then come up with a revenue that is lower, as well as the tariff that is lower than what the municipality has requested. Right now, with the table that is before us, it doesn't assist us. Now, it makes us to think about what are the shared costs, or where are they? How are they shown here? How do we question them? The veracity of those shared costs, we're unable to do that. So I just want to pause there, Chairperson, but I don't think that it is fair even for the regulator that things are done in this way. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Massetti. Mr. Mkhize?
Yes, I am for striking a balance, Chair.
Yes.
We need to exercise, extra caution on these matters, since they are also matters that have been ventilated in courts. At the same time, we need to work expeditiously, and I think that on the side of the team, I'm concerned that been dealing with these applications. They're more or less dealing with similar things, and we shouldn't be having this kind of challenges. Yes, there is a very certain unique features in different municipalities. I would then say that without really taking time from Madam Masige and the team, that they start working on this. We know we've got the table, and they just put the table to say these are the issues raised, this is how they've been addressed, and this is the outcome. Then we deal with that. If we need to do a round robin, you can have a round robin done before end of business tomorrow. We just do that. I would suggest that if pressed for time, we work as business unusual, and then ensure that we do a round robin by tomorrow. Thank you.
I was going to say the same as well, Mr. Mkhize, to say, as I have directed, that let's stand down the matter and the team works on the issues that the members have raised, and then they write in a 2-pager for the RR how they have dealt with the issues, and we decide on this matter in that manner. Either if they are ready by the time we deal with the last application today, they can indicate to me and request members some extra time. Or if they can't, it just gets a round robin by tomorrow. It's a Saturday, 23rd, and we agree that before midday, members will consider what would have been submitted and indicate our decision on the round robin. That would be my guidance on this particular matter. Mr. Majola, your hand is up. I want us to move on now.
Oh, Chair, I think let's move on. I think you have summarized it very well. Let's move on. Thank you.
Okay. So, Ms. Masike, you can be recused from the meeting now as well to go start and do what the members have requested that you address in the application. You do the submission. And please I'll speak to the secretary so that we can alert the members once you've done what you are asking you to do to really address the issues raised. Members, on that note, that is the decision. Maybe can I, by a show of hand, to get an indication that you support that we stand this matter down, it gets addressed in a form of a round robin that will be considered by 12 tomorrow, if it cannot be brought back after the last item. Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. Thank you, Mr. Majola. I do support that. Thank you, Ms. Masiti. Ms. Masiti. Ms. Masike, you are recused. Please do not be in the meeting. Go and work on what has been requested by members, because we do not have much time. We then move on to the next application, which is an application from Mogale City. Ms. Mapitsing, you may come in and present to the members. Please be mindful of the time, but take it as having been read. Highlight critical issues that you would like the members you would like to bring to the attention of the members than to read through the whole submission. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, CEO. Ms. Gwadi will present.
Yeah, it's Ms. Gwadi. Good afternoon, Chairperson, members, colleagues, and public. Mogale City Municipality revised the cost of supply study to link its cost with Eskom following the unbundling of Eskom tariff structures through ERSA. The licensee is also proposing the restructuring to all its domestic tariff customers and commercial small tariff by moving from IBT to flat rate tariffs. The impact was done on this, and it indicates that customers are going to benefit from the proposed tariff restructuring through improved tariff simplicity and more predictable electricity charges. The municipality used the first block as a base in all these restructured tariffs, which means that the customers are going to benefit. In accordance with the cost of supply framework, the revenue requirements for Mogale City was determined using the cost plus methodology, and the figures were also verified against deformed trial balance and audited financial statement. Mogale City recorded a surplus of 4.70 in 24-25 compared to 13.25 in 23-24. The decline was mainly due to increase in energy losses, lower revenue collection, which is sitting at 90%, and rising bulk costs and affordability constraints affecting cost recovery. The municipality's energy losses increased from 10% to 14% in 24-25 financial year. This is due to illegal connection, meter tampering, aging infrastructure, and overloaded network and deferred maintenance. The municipality also indicated that to deal with issues of surplus and energy losses, they are partnering with DBSA to assist with funding initiative to deal with the energy losses, and then also COCTA to support their proposed revenue protection measures. And the municipality also recorded that in the Q3 of this financial year, the energy losses have reduced to 8.44. A sensitivity analysis was done and shows that if the losses were to be 12%, then the municipality will realize a surplus of 6.43, and if it's 6%, then we'll realize a surplus of 10.56. This indicates that the energy losses are a big contributor to the municipal sustainability, including other risk factors like low collection rate and customer affordability. To achieve full cost reflectivity, the licensee requires revenue requirements of 2 billion. And then for the bulk purchases expenditure, the licensee applied for 1.5 billion, which accounts to 78% for the total cost. For the OPEX, the municipality applied for the OPEX of 702,814. However, taking out all inefficiencies, the OPEX reduces to 465,278,913, which represent the 23% of the total cost. The FBE paid to Eskom was disallowed as it is an inefficiency, and then also charges from other municipal departments were reduced from 576 to 269. The disallowed costs were deemed not directly attributed to electricity service delivery and were found to be inefficient, excessive, and unsupported by sufficient evidence after liaising with the municipality. The asset value is amounting to 2.5 billion. Depreciation is 62 million. With all these figures were extracted from the DFOM and the audited financial statement for the 24-25 financial year. As all these figures will also be scrutinized using asset register. We're already liaising with the municipality, which all these numbers are going to be confirmed before publication. Surplus municipality is applied for a surplus of 110,741, but after checking all the inefficiencies, the surplus reduces to 104,742, which represent the 5% of the total cost. The shared cost indicated that the municipal costs were ring-fenced and strictly allocated to the electricity distribution functions. The COS also confirmed the cross-subsidization for commercial, industrial to residential customers. The municipality will be encouraged to establish a cross-subsidy framework to ensure each customer's category pays in line with its cost of supply. Compliance with TAJA, NERSA will publish the application on the website with all cost of supply study. And then also the municipality conducted its own public consultation process. We received objection from Krugersdorp Citizen United and also 300 individual comments. So all these comments were are analyzed on table 8. On table 8, maybe just to summarize it, is saying that the stakeholder were concerned about the affordability, financial pressure, and then also highlighted the issue relating to tariff transparency, communication, and also concern raised regarding the adequacy of the public participation, including timing a consultation which may present a procedural risk. And then also the other one was that when the municipality went to consult, they consulted the public because they were restructuring. The base was the second block, but after the public consultation and the complaints from consumers, the municipality revised the tariff and used the first block as a base, resulting to more affordable outcome for lower usage household. And then also NERSA also assessed the proposed tariff against requirements of cost reflectivity, stakeholder consent, transparency, and affordability. The comments received were analyzed and summarized in Table 8 with NERSA and municipality as respondents. The COS initially, before taking out all inefficiencies, were required 27.4% increase to reach cost reflective. But however, after removing the inefficiencies, the increase required was 9.01. But initially the municipality submitted and consulted with the application of 12.2%, but following the stakeholder comments engagement with NERSA, and then also consideration of the adjustment in the COS and other factors, the municipality agreed to reduce the proposed tariff increase to 9%. Our recommendation are on page 7.1 of 141, and they're read as follows. The tariffs that are based on COS are approved as recommended in the tariff analysis sheet for implementation 1st July 2026. And then for the REC to note the cost of supply report submitted by the municipality. And also the municipality is required to submit a report accounting for all costs that have been noted in the COS to enable the regulator to perform its independent verification by 31st January 2027. The municipality is also required to submit a quarterly progress report on the efficiency improvement measures taken to reduce high energy losses by 30 September 2026, and lastly, taking into account all other enhancements as guided by the members. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Sekwali. Members, any questions, issues of clarity or points of enhancements on this particular application? Yes, Ms. Masetti.
Thank you, Chairperson, and thanks, Ms. Gwadi, for the presentation. Chairperson, I've got 3 questions. I'm asking questions that have a bearing on the decision only. I would like to start off with the surplus. Mr. Gwadi, can you please confirm that the way that you calculated the surplus, you simply used the model? You just used the model, you plugged in the amounts on the model, and then the model just calculated the surplus the way that it is used, as opposed to arriving at the surplus using the risk-based and showing how those risks were valued at that amount. So that's the first thing, a confirmation on the calculation of the surplus. The second thing that I would like to find out is I want to be comfortable with regards to the value of the assets, of which you find in paragraph 2.5 and 2.6 above. So if I'm not mistaken, because I don't want to move from this table 6 here, we've got a figure of 2.5 billion as the asset value that you used, that you said you considered, you took it from the deforms on the AFS or whatever. I don't know, maybe that's the verification you've done. I don't seem to see it here on table 6, that amount, so that I can then be in a position to link the value with the depreciation that is done. You'll see that line item with depreciation, which is combined. At least it should have at least a split so that we can have that operational expenditure amount there, and then we can have the depreciation, so that it makes it easy for that figure of 2.5 billion, and then we see that 63 million for this year, this current year, depreciation that is required. So I would like to see how did you deal with that depreciation on that asset value of 2.5 billion rands? If you can just clarify that. And then lastly, how did you verify that the 63 million rands is the depreciation, and also that asset value? It's just assets that relate to the business. Unfortunately, I couldn't get it to link the asset value and the depreciation. And that's all from my side, Chairperson, on those 3 aspects. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Masetti. Mr. Mkize.
Thanks, Chairperson. I'm kind of covered in terms of looking at table 6 and table 7 with respect to the depreciation part in terms of the separation, as well as the surplus, because these are the same issues actually that we have raised them for the previous application. And then on the, as well as maybe to indicate the amount that is above the 12%, in other words, the 2.36, that it has been removed to explicitly indicate that. And I think under 7, I still, that is now paragraph 7, the issue of the bad debts. I'm not so sure why there's no adjustment there to kind of remove them, or do they fall within that 5%? I just want to check if that is the case, just to confirm it. And then the other thing that is a bit concerning, may not directly link to us taking a decision right here and now, are these comments by stakeholders. It's good for NERSA to get comments, but it's concerning because you see most of them actually they should fall within the purview of the municipality to consult the public and deal directly with them. I think we need really to sit with the municipalities, just develop a program of action leading to the application for municipal tariff adjustments. to make sure that there is adequate time for engagement of or consultation of residents. To the extent that a municipality that submits an application without sufficient consultation with its residents, we don't even entertain it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mkiza. I think you covered me on that point on public participation, because in the report is indicated that the municipality is saying that they did do it and there were no consultation. And I'm just wondering, Ms. Sigwadi, if we have any proof from the Munich to say that indeed there was no public consultation, because it seems as if their customers are now commenting on what was published by NESA, which I'm not saying it's wrong, but maybe for me, I don't know if I am covered with the response that you have in the submission that is coming from the municipality to say there were no comments received from their side. But may you then, that's the only issue that I just wanted to highlight. May you respond to the issues raised by the members, starting with Ms. Masiti and followed by the others. Over to you.
Thank you. I will try to answer some, and then Ms. Mapiting will help with other questions. The first one, the surplus one, I can confirm that it was calculated on the model, on the COS model, the surplus of 5%. Then the second one, on the why we didn't put the 2.5 billion asset on the OPEX. Yeah, we will do it. We'll take advice and guidance, and then before we publish the RFD, we will do it the way Ms. Masiti advised. And then on how we verify the depreciation and asset value, we only used the DFORMs and the AFS. Hence, I said that we are engaging with municipalities regarding this, because on the AFS, it's said that it's only the amount that is there is saying, I think it's property, electricity. It's only for electricity on the AFS. It does not include all other assets, but it's only for the electricity. So it's verified that it's only for the electricity. And then on the issue of the public participation from Makale City. Yeah, Makale City did have the consultation with the customers. I don't know, maybe I need to remove that statement that we did not receive them, but they did receive the comments. Hence, they went back to review their tariff application before they submit to NERSA, because the first time when they went, they used the second block, and then there were customer complaints regarding that. And that's when they sent the application. When they sent the application to NERSA, it was after the complaints on their side. Then they revised the application based on the comments they've received when they were doing public participation. Ms. Mapiting, you can help with others.
Thank you, Ms. Kwadi. I just want to highlight the one for Mr. Mkiza. I think it's the only one that you left it out, the bad debt provision. From NESA's aside, that we allow only 5% of the bad debt, of which municipality, when we engage with them in terms of calculation, the bad debt limited on the cost of supply was 5%. And yes, I take note that even Ms. Maseti, I think in one of the meetings, was saying that we should not allow them bad debt going forward. We should not make it a norm for that the 5%, but the bad debt that is on their submission, it's 5%. And even just to add on the surplus, as Ms. Kwadi highlighted that, yes, we use the model However, if you look at the step one that Ms. Masiti mentioned, the step one, or the model in the COS does show that the surplus need to be considered using the OPEX, our framework, when you use the cost plus methodology, because the section 18 does or the methodology gave us a choice to say either they can use rate of return or they can use the surplus, the surplus or the profit margin, of which they did use that margin, the surplus margin, calculated on the OPEX. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Ms. Sigwadi and Ms. Mapitsi. Members, are you covered on the with the responses provided? Thank you. I take it. Mr. Mkhize, you may come in.
Yeah, I think on the consultation side, this is why I'm saying let's look at the program timelines, so that even in this instance where there is a change, there can be that round of feedback to the municipal residents before lodgement of application with NERSA. And then I would also I'm not getting clarity. How different is the issue of the determination of the surplus in this instance as opposed to the application that you've just dealt with? That's what I don't get clarity on.
Okay. All right, Ms. Masiti, I take it you're covered with Mr. Mkhize, or do you want to come in as a follow-up with your follow-up?
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, I rephrased the question deliberately so that I make it clear to everyone every time they talk about the surplus. Hence, I said, did you plug it just on the model, just the range, the threshold that is in the model? And they confirmed the same. I wanted to make it abundantly clear to everyone. Hence, I rephrased the question. So what we need to do, Ms. Mapitsing tried to now link it. However, with information to justify how is it linked to that profit margin. She tried now to explain it so that because it's always what they are supposed to do so that they comply with the law, not just to plug it and make things easy on the model, which is not linked to the risk, because it's supposed to be a risk-based profit margin. That's what it is saying. So the risk, they did not deal with them, even when we guided them and said, look at how Mr. Alufe put that table on the risk, so that we can then say we now compensate them for having done well on this risk, and therefore this is the profit margin. It is different from the losses where there are risks that are eroding the revenue. So this one is like on the profit, we must give them something to compensate for certain risk. But she is not saying what risk they are compensating for, and also demonstrating that 5%, whether the 5% it translates to the profit margin that is based on risk. That's the critical point. I've just simplified it like that. So that's exactly what they needed to do. To say to link it back, Chairperson. That's what is required. And also just on the issue of, I see that they are diving on this issue because they want to just make it simple without verifying. Simply take a figure in the AFS. There is no way that the municipality, any business entity, it's got all of these other departments. So it will not have in its audited financial statements, it will not have a asset value that separates per department. And also even ourselves here at NERSA, in our AFS, we don't have one that will say that, oh, these ones, it is the asset value for that one and that one and that one. No. And thereafter to say that depreciation for this one is this amount, depreciation for that one. We don't do it like that even here at NERSA. We've got one figure for depreciation. So it's an integrated figure. It has been confirmed. So they don't do that. They simply take an amount that is there and say, hi, they said it's electricity, so that they make things easy for us. I'm not taking the word for it. We must approve things that are based on facts, because with the city power, I'm not happy with what we're told. I'm not going to delve into that. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Masetti. I think the team has noted that enhancements in terms of linking the surplus, the calculation of the surplus to the risks, and also stating those risks that we've considered. On that note, I don't know, Team EPT that we're presenting, do you want to come in on the further issues that were raised by members, Ms. Sikwedi or Ms. Mapiting?
Chairperson, just maybe to also where Ms. Masetti mentioned that we are not linking. Yes, I will request Ms. Sikwadi just to come in. The risk there, if you look at is the high energy losses, even when in terms of collection, because we see that the surplus now it's going down. We see that the municipality, as much as their collection rate, as we engage upon engagement, informed us that it's 90%, but we're still saying that they need to achieve that 95%, Chairperson. I'll leave it there.
Okay, thank you. I think
Chairperson,
yes,
that one, Chairperson, is wrong. That's exactly what I'm trying to assist, Chairperson. I said, look, the risk you can't compensate for energy losses. Remember, the energy losses is an inefficient cost, Chair. So when you compensate for profits or for the return, like you will compensate for return, like the WACC, for instance, I was giving an example. So you've got risk to say that this business has taken some risk, and therefore let's compensate them for the risk, good risk that will make good for the business, Chair, of electricity. So it is very clear that this one is not done properly, Chairperson. At least they would have salvaged it by, at least in this meeting, stating what are the good things, what are the good risks that warrant NERSA to give them this amount, which we'll say is profit, so that now we are aligned with that statement that says it is a risk-based profit margin. Just like what she was saying, but she's not even able to say that. She's stating wrong risk that erode the revenue. Those that erode the revenue, that's why even here they've removed the revenue for it, because it's inefficient. They're combining things that are not supposed to be combined, Chair. I don't know, but I'm not comfortable with that one. It's very clear I simplified it, so I don't know.
Mr. Mkize?
Yeah, maybe you see, from my side, maybe I need clarity with regard to the risk, right? Because when you're talking of risk in an entity, it's what is negative, what you are likely to suffer from as an event. And then you have taken out the upper side of the energy losses from 12%, anything to be above 12%. Now you are doing a calculation that is based on the 12% going down. Now you then give us a certain surplus. The risk is that you might have that going on or worsening. And then the downside is that you can then implement certain measures to then reduce these losses and get an upside. So there's an upside of it, which then can make more. So for me, it becomes more of these initiatives. Maybe I just want to get that understanding clear. And then there are other things that pertain to revenue collection, where you will also put meters in place so that you can be able to make sure that in terms of your billing and all of that, you are able to get revenue out of this as measures. So then if you've got those in place, now I take it that here, when we're talking of the risk, you say if you've got a lower surplus, you are saying to this person, you still have got scope to improve such that you can have a higher surplus. So you don't necessarily give a higher surplus, but you can't give a negative surplus like we discussed, because we had another municipality where we talked of the 2% being low for that municipality. Because whenever we're talking of this, because we're dealing with these entities, we need to be even-handed in dealing with all of them. Hence my question and comparison with the previous application. That is a kind of a thing that I want, maybe I'm missing something. Because when we're talking of these things, must be very clear in our minds as to what I'm actually dealing with. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mkhize, Ms. Masetti.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, if I can assist, the risk that I'm talking about are rewards in the same way that across all divisions, and this is how it's supposed to be done. It is the reward, the positive thing that you would want to reward the municipalities for. Such as, for instance, the smart meters. So it is for things that the municipality has done to improve efficiencies in the business. So those are the kind of risk that I am talking about here. So there's a number of those. Some of them will relate to technical issues or technical losses that they have, or any possibility of technical losses, but the municipality has taken certain measures and it is improving the network, for instance, and in protection of consumers. So you take those kind of things into account because you are saying that municipality, you have taken this kind of risk with your money to correct things, to put things right network-wise, to also do certain things that will protect consumers. And therefore, for that, and then also things that reduce the inefficiencies and stuff like that, that are sitting at maybe single digit or whatever the case. So those are all the positive things. It means it's positive risk that needs to be rewarded. Just like you will do the calculation of the WACC, weighted average cost of capital. So when you look into that, you also look at the risk to say that this is the money of the investors. They took the risk by investing in the business and therefore reward them through returns. Here we say that the profit margin, I hope that I'm clarifying for the last time. So it is different from inefficiencies that are eroding the revenue of municipalities. I don't know how else I can explain it, but that's what it is, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you for that assistance, Ms. Masetti. Ms. Mapitsi, your hand was up. Do you want to just come in based on the clarity that Ms. Masetti has provided, just to, and also maybe try and respond to Mr. Mkhize's point in terms of the risks. What is it that gets considered, and then respond? Your hand was up. I would like to give you an opportunity. Mr. Majola, I do see your hand is up. Maybe let me take you, then Ms. Mapitsi will come in.
Yeah, Chair, maybe some of these issues do need maybe to be discussed in committee so that we got a similar understanding. But if I'm just looking, at the NESA cost of supply framework, and where it talks about the surplus, paragraph 4.3, all it says, after considering each licensee's particular circumstances, NESA determines the surplus to be earned by the licensee. Currently, NESA uses a tolerable range of 10 to 20% with a target range, with a target of 15% on the percentage surplus. I think that's all that our framework says. And maybe, of course, if to get to a common understanding of what this paragraph 4.3 means, maybe it needs a bit more of a discussion in committee. But if I can just emphasize again that, and I really think what the team has been trying to do in a lot of these submissions, they were trying to aim for something between 9% and 20%. But what has happened, however, there were circumstances where a municipality will say, no, they want something lower than 10%. and then the team would come and say, look, considering what the municipality has said and other factors as well, they would then support something below 10%, although it is outside of this range. So I thought, let me just come in here just to say, what does the framework say? Thank you.
Thank you for that input. Mr. Mkiza?
Yeah, I don't want to delay the meeting, but from my side, in terms of the risk, it links back to the issue that you have said, that when you're looking at that table, which tends to be table 3 or table 4, when it looks at the surplus as well as the energy losses, where we've looked that they don't always go together. You've got a situation where you can have improvements in energy losses but still have a lower surplus or have a deficit, mainly because there are other factors that come into play. It's a matter of then when you're talking of the surplus, for me, is to be able to talk to those other factors and the interventions that then one puts in place to address that risk of revenue erosion. Hence, then I would look at it like from that point of view, where you would have a situation where you would even go for a lower surplus because you're saying, if I give you a high surplus, you already have got an opportunity to cut back on the energy losses such that it brings you back to the range that you are thinking of. Hence, sometimes you find that I don't comment a lot when we've got that 2%, that 3%, because they are outside of the range simply because these municipalities are able to, they can have they've got a leverage of improving in terms of their energy losses. And therefore, for me, it's a question of the team in analyzing and in articulating it so that it is clear how that risk element has been factored in that surplus apportionment, because you also appreciate that only because of the cost plus approach in terms of how we deal with this, the issue of ZOF work are not coming out that explicitly in this regard in terms of dealing with the risks regarding the returns. I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you, members. And I believe that on the issue of the surplus, what is coming up is that we have the analysis aligned to the framework and also taking into account the fact that licensee's application rather. And I think on this one, it's just that emphasis that is needed for the team to highlight, to say, in terms of calculating the surplus, these were the factors that were taken into account for them to arrive at a particular recommended amount. I think that is what members, picking up members are saying in enhancing the submission, or rather the RFT. Ms. Segwadi, you may come in.
I think you've covered it. I just wanted to say we do have a report detailing all those mentioned by Ms. Maseti, so we'll enhance the RFD with all those risks, and then before publication, we do have the information with us. So yeah, we will take a guidance.
Okay, I think if you had them, it would have been easy and quicker for you to just list them to the members. But I think in the enhancements, then let's just cover them. On that note, members, I think the recommendations were read into the record. They are on page 70 to 71. May I get an indication that you support them, subject to the enhancements that the members have provided as guidance in relation to this particular application? Thank you, Mr. Mkiza. Thank you, Mr. Majola. Also support. I don't see a hand from Ms. Maseti. Should we record?
From my side, Chairperson? Yes, Chairperson, from my side, if they can, because that depreciation is not very clear that it is linked to that asset value that is there. So that's the issue that needs to be subjected to independent verification and indicate that they will claw back. And then the second thing, if they can also get back to us with regards to subject the surplus, if they say that there are positive risks that deserve that amount of surplus / profit margin, if there are those positive risks that deserve that reward. On that basis, that's how I will approve it, Chairperson, subject to them including those risks in the RFDs. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Members that have already voted, do you have any objection with the enhancements of the RFD in a manner that Ms. Masetti has added, that the depreciation be linked to the clearly linked to the risks, and that the surplus indicate positive risks that deserve reward from the that deserve to be rewarded from the consideration of the application? Members, any objection to that? I think we have voted.
I think I'm covered from my side because it's the same. It's a phrasing. It's a different phrasing, but that is the basis on which I supported. Thank you.
Exactly. Ms. Masetti, do you want to change? Do you want to come in on your vote so that because we want to get clarity? We would add the enhancements that you have provided. Would you vote? Thank you very much. And I do see the hands from all the members, and I also support with those and enhancements that have been provided throughout the discussion of this application. We then go on to the next one, which is an application from Naledi Municipality. Colleagues, I hope I'm not reading the presenter's name wrong. I think I still have Mr. Gwadi. Mr. Gwadi, I heard you Mapiting in the previous one, but you'll guide me. Mr. Gwadi, is that you?
Yeah, I'll present. Ms. Mapiting is not feeling well. She'll deal with the questions, but I'll present. This one is for
okay.
Ms. Mapiting. Yeah.
All right. You proceeded then. Okay,
thank you. Naledi Municipality is situated in Northwest and in accordance with the COS framework, the revenue requirements for the Naledi Municipality was determined using the cost plus methodology, and the figures were verified against the due forms, trial balance, and audited financial statement, and only prudent and efficient costs were allowed while identified inefficiencies were disallowed. In terms of the performance indicators, the municipality recorded a deficit of 15% in 24-25, which is an improvement from 47% in 2023-24. But despite this improvement, the continued deficit indicates that the electricity revenue remains insufficient to fully recover the cost associated with the rendering of the electricity services. The energy losses has also increased from 27% to 28%. The main causes of these energy losses are illegal connection, meter tampering, and aging of network, also electricity theft. To address these challenges, the municipality stated that they are busy replacing and repairing the bridge meters and plans to install meters at all municipal buildings by the end of the financial year to improve energy management and revenue accountability. A sensitivity analysis was conducted and shows that if the municipality were to reduce their losses to 12%, then it will have a surplus of 4.58. If the losses were to go to 6%, then they will realize a surplus of 10.32%, which indicate that the energy losses be contributor to the municipal sustainability, including other risk factors like collection rate. To achieve full cost reflectivity, the licenses required 231,808,934 revenue, and then they also applied for the bulk purchase of 216,294,677, which accounts for 93% of total cost. The municipality, Naledi Municipality, applied for OPEX of 71,278,240, but however, after removal of the inefficiencies, the OPEX was reduced to 29,503,035, representing the 13% of total cost. The amount that were excluded was the ESCOM debt, which amount to 39 million. and then also NMD, which amount to 2.1 million, were also excluded. The asset value of this municipality amounting to 193 million, and depreciation of 9 million, which were extracted from the AFS and the D forms. On this one also, I'll say that as advised by Ms. Maseti, will also do the same as Mogale City to ensure that all these figures are correct and talking to each other, and then also include the asset value amount to the operating expenditure table. The surplus amount, the municipality applied for a surplus amount of 5.5 million, but after taking all inefficiencies, the surplus reduced to 1.4 million, representing 1% of the total cost for the 26-27 financial year, as reflected in Table 5, which falls below 10 to 20 targeted range prescribed in the cost of supply methodology. All shared costs were ring-fenced and strictly allocated to the electricity distribution function. Also, the COS confirmed that there's a cross-subsidization, primarily for domestic conventional and commercial tariff, subsidizing the domestic prepaid and industrial customers. So the municipality will be encouraged to establish a cross-subsidy framework to ensure each customer pays for in line with its cost of supply. NERSA also complied with Section 10 of budget by publishing the application, and no comments were received. The municipality also issued notices on the newspapers, and they're starting with public participation in next week. So the conclusion on the COS is that the COS study suggested a 16.03% increase. However, the municipality is proposing a 9.01 increase to review its tariff for the 26-27 financial year. And then when I go to recommendations on page 113 of 1141, is that the tariff that are based on the cost of supply report are approved as recommended on the tariff analysis sheet for implementation 1st July 2026. And also the REC to note the cost of supply report submitted by the municipality. The municipality is also required to submit a report accounting for all the costs that have been noted in the COS to enable the regulator to perform its independent verification by 31st January 2027. The municipality is also required to submit a quarterly progress report on the efficiency improvement measures taken to reduce high energy losses and deficits by 30 September 2026. And lastly, taking all the enhancement as guided by the members. And then also on the surplus on this one, we'll also do the same as Mogale City to put all the risk associated with this surplus. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gwadi. Members, any input on this particular application? If you have any, please do raise your hand so that you can be given an opportunity to make a presentation. Thank you, Mr. Mkiza. You may come in.
Thanks, Chairperson. For me, the previous comments apply here, and it's important for the enhancement of the RFD to reflect that. And if I look at, for example, at Table 4, you've got the percentage surplus being a deficit in this case, improving despite the energy losses increasing. Hence, the reflection of the other dynamics at play is important, which then also talks to the issue of the surplus in terms of the initiatives that are taken and money spent with an expectation that there will be a reward in terms of improved revenue. So that link remains important here to highlight and talk to this too. I don't want to delay your meeting, because for me it's simply again these issues, even the issue of the depreciation, how it is determined, also need to be clearly outlined. I note that here we're talking of a surplus of 1%. I'll stop here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mkize. Any other hand from the members? Ms. Masetti, you may come in.
The chairperson, can Mr. Gwadi show me, or at least the committee, where are the disallowances on the table? Because I always struggle, and we have adopted a detailed table, and even the FTRM encouraged and said, can we please, all of us now, use this table? So that we are all clear, and then even these cost items, some of them, if they are just, they just take the easy way and take everything that is lumped together, it makes it difficult for the energy regulator to thoroughly look into these cost items and say, all that we are supposed to look at is the purchase cost from ESCOM, administrative cost, the labor-related cost, and these other things that we know that these are the ones, and we are consistent in that manner. They are not doing things that way for us. So I'm not seeing even the disallowed cost here, because we need to disallow inefficiencies. And then, so that we are clear now on the positive steps that the municipality has taken and which ones must be rewarded, so that then when we get to the surplus, we are quite clear. And next time, that issue of the surplus will need to be determined differently, and it must be risk-based. So we're taking some of those lessons now. It should not be plugged into the model. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Masetti. Ms. Sekwari or Ms. Mapitsing, do you want to come in?
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, CEO. With regard to, we'll take note of what Mr. Mkize said. With regard to Ms. Masetti, yes, ma'am, we really apologize. However, on the OPEX, we tried showing the OPEX on table 7 and what we disallowed, those inefficiencies that we disallowed. I'll leave it there.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Masetti, are you covered? And Mr. Mkize as well.
Where on the table of the revenue were they disallowed? Because I struggle to see exactly, so that I can be able to see how much has been reduced. Which line item, please?
So remember, it's table 7. I will request maybe table 7 on the submission.
It's page 100, the green stamp, 128.
I see the table, Chairperson. You see, what I'm not seeing is that if, for instance, we disallow from the OPEX, which is the operational efficiencies, that's what we need to be worried about, operational inefficiencies, right? Apart from the network, let's say we start from there, because we're dealing with the energy losses and other things. Then we should then say, okay, here's the amount of the operational expenditure. From this amount, let's go to the next columns, right? On the next columns, we show with the minus, the amount that we are disallowing. Where is it? That's the part that I'm talking about. Not that the table itself I don't see, but at least there on that same line, let's show on the column that from this amount, we disallowed X portion of that amount. And then it gives us this much. That's what I'm saying. I'm not seeing, Chair. Thank you.
Just to close on this one, Ms. Mapitsing, do you want to indicate where the disallowed amount is if it's not in table 7?
Yes, ma'am. Just give me a second because I have a problem with my hand. On the Naledi, if we had on the OPEX, ma'am, the MILIC applied for 71 million. We disallowed. If you look at, there's a column where it stated NERSA actually saying adjustments. It says 41 million. There's a negative on that table. We disallowed 41 million, and then we are allowing them the OPEX of 29 million. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Masetti, I'll come back to you to see if you're covered. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Mr. Mkize?
No, it's fine. I'm covered because I was just saying that if you can write it well, so this is clear that that number is negative, because it's difficult also to see it the way it is written. Just to show that there's a negative there, which is the adjustment. You may, on the table also, I think it's also important to clearly indicate how you have, accommodated for losses, and where the municipality, because sometimes the municipalities, they do, I'm saying, going forward, where they've already indicated that they've taken certain things out, that should come out very clearly for us to see, because the issue of ensuring efficiency is very important for us to demonstrate. Just wanted to come in on that, in that regard, and I take it that you will assist in terms of making all those adjustments clearer, for one to see. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mkiza, and maybe to all the team. It's important that when they see that the table that is standardized that they're using and it's not going to be clear for the reader, if they can improve on it. Because I do see the minus, Mr. Mkiza, but it's very close to the line. Maybe they could have used brackets or something like that. So if we do see that some of the information we want to share with the members, it's not going to be clear or readable, it's either we elaborate on it verbally or we use other means to highlight that. And additionally, as Mr. Mkiza had said, in the text as well, let's just give a clearer, explanation. Members, I believe you are covered in terms of the issues that you have raised. Don't have any issue from my side. On that note, may I then get an indication that you support the recommendations? They have been read out. They are on page 112 to 113, and by show of hands, with those enhancements that have been made that are also in Mogale City that are relevant to this application, they should also be done by show of hands. Thank you, Mr. Mkiza, Ms. Maseti. I do support. Mr. Majola, I don't see your hand. Thank you, Mr. Majola. I think those were the applications that we had for this meeting this afternoon, and I apologize for having taken more than the time that was scheduled, but it was necessary for us to ensure that the members are addressed on issues that they raise. And I just want to check from the EM if the matter that we stood down is ready for us to consider now, because I've seen a note that says that in actual fact, the correct date, it's not the 23rd, it's today, the 22nd, to finalize the matter relating to Eguruleni as well. So I just thought that maybe we could check if that matter is ready to be brought back, and I would really request the members' indulgence such that we just look into it and finalize it. Alternatively, we get a round robin sent out today. I see their hands from the members. I'll follow them in a sequence, starting with Mr. Mkiza. Okay, it was
Thanks, Chairperson. I think, I know it's a Friday. I know we've got to balance work and life. I would say that if at all possible, if there is not ready now, if they are ready, if we can adjourn and maybe spare, because it should not take more than 30 minutes really to deal with this matter. Adjourn, make sure that they deal with this properly, and maybe give them an hour or so to deal with it, and then at 5:30 or quarter to 6 we reconvene to deal with it, so that you can make sure that you dispense of this matter today. That would be my request, and that maybe if that fails, then we'll have to go the round robin route. But I think that these are matters also based on how we've discussed the issue of the surplus. They've got a clearer view now in terms of how to deal with it. And we just close this matter today, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mkize. Ms. Maseti.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, I support, that's what I was going to raise, that let's take a break and allow the team to thoroughly look at that information. They must just work together there. And even if they can populate that detailed table, which I believe in that matter, they need to do that, because there's a number of issues that they need to clarify, already issues that were contentious. So they need to make sure that they deal thoroughly with those issues. It's not like we're starting from scratch there. That's the point I want to make. So if we can just break, Chair, give them time, and then we can reconvene. Maybe Miss Lilani can then send a WhatsApp so that we reconvene. We'll avail ourselves. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, members. And Tate Majola.
Thank you, Chair. I've also been in contact with the team. They're not quite ready. So I'm also in support that we break. And just to clarify one or two things, in terms of the court orders, we've just gone back now to the actual court orders.
Chair, do you want to close? Sorry, Chair. Do you want to close the meeting, Chairperson, first, and then we can deal with the governance? My apologies, Mr. Majola.
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, supported.
Are you supportive of standing the matter down, or rather us breaking and coming back?
Yes, I'm supporting that we break and come back after some time. And then other matters, we can raise them in governance, yes.
Chairperson, Chairperson, I'm sorry.
Yes, I was just
going to reconvene. So let's rather maybe put some indication of us reconvening, and then we can take a break and be able to then get going. Just an estimated time from the management in terms of when they can be able to deal with this matter sufficiently.
Okay, thank you very much, members, for your input. I think it's also important for me to get all the members a view. And in terms of the members, they are agreeing that we stand down the meeting, and then we'll reconvene at 17:45 to consider the outstanding matter. On that note, may I thank the members for their guidance, contribution that have been given on all matters that have been considered today, and also to thank management and support staff, and as well as all those that are following us on different platforms. On that note, we are going to be taking a break, and we will be back at 17:45. And should there be a need for more time, I think I will definitely log in at 17:45 and inform those that are still wanting to follow our meeting as to whether there's been a change, if there is any. But we anticipate that we will be able to start at 17:45. On that note, Ms. Maputa, may I request that you stop the streaming? We will